As Chris Bedford said earlier on the show, it's the entire system getting exposed right now. We need to turn the dial off for the funds, not only for USAID, but for a lot of what I still call waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. So I went to X this morning and I just said, I know it's not going to happen, you guys, but when do we get our money back from USAID? I know I'm not the only one who is thinking this at this point in time, because we saw Eric Schmidt earlier on the show just go through and list all of the millions of dollars that are going to other countries for their DEI program. So, maybe some of them can just give us some money back. Rob Eno replied, our coworker, Rob Eno, said, unfortunately, never. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for that.
Hard truth.
It is.
Hard truth.
It's a hard way to start out. Uncommon Joyce replied, I think we need a tax amnesty year where taxes aren't taken out of any private citizen's paycheck to make up for at least a portion of our money that they've wasted. I am all for that.
Sounds great. Little year jubilee.
Yeah, it is the Jubilee year. Let's go ahead and have it on the entire level for the federal government as well. Ryan Tyre said that the USAID was just the small stuff. Not only do we want our money back, but we don't want to pay income tax anymore. Signed, we the people. All right, Ryan, I'm with you. I just don't think that one is actually going to happen yet. We can go through, we can audit the IRS, we can audit the Fed, the Pentagon, throw them in there. They've missed 7 different budget deadlines. I'm with you, but I think at some point we still have to pay taxes.
Yeah, well, look, I think that the important thing here is people are really thinking hard, and it's because it's being smashed into their face, just how they're being hijacked. I mean, the government is hijacking your resources to support things to increase leftist power, and that's not okay. I mean, the American Revolution was fought for less, and it's not okay at all. So the more that people think and talk that way, I think that's the right attitude. The right attitude is, it is your money, this is your country, and we are citizens in a republic, and if we are, then we're not serfs in some kind of, lefty empire, and that has to be done and over with. So I do think there'll be changes to the tax code even beyond what Trump has proposed today that will be far-reaching, but they're tied in with a lot of economic, broad-scale changes going on. If we keep pushing in the right direction, I think we'll get to a better place.
You say hijacking resources, and that just makes me think of our conversation with John Eastman, because it feels like with the birthright citizen issue, it feels like they're just hijacking our laws and saying, no, they're ours. We're going to take them. And everybody for decades now has just been like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, look, and I was like this too. I mean, before I went to Claremont, I had John as a professor, and then he became a colleague when I was working at the Claremont Institute. He's been at this a long time. When you first hear it, even good conservatives will say, well, wait a minute, I thought if you're born here, you become a citizen. That's just the way it works. But when you start thinking about it and unpacking it, you realize there is no real law laying this out. It's not clearly constitutional at all. And of course, why would you let that happen? And if you do let it happen, guess what happens? People fly here to have a baby. And that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make you an American just because of where you're born, right? So this is a real live issue, and it's one that is very important. And Eastman, who's been through hell as Trump's lawyer, with everything that happened on January 6th, he's got a give, send, go. You can go support him. He still needs financial support. He's got legal fees coming out the ears because they tried to ruin his entire career and his livelihood because he gave the president legal advice. And now, what he's argued for his whole life is in an executive order, and it's going to go all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, he took a stand, and people are coming after him because that's what they do. When you take that stand, they are going to just go through and attack you and try and make an example of you so other people don't go out and follow suit. But now, at least, he is getting a little bit of his revenge with this going through. It's his whole life work that is coming through to an end. But I want to go back to government funding with you, because there is some way that we do need to have some government funding. So how do we use that the best way possible, and maybe even just get some of our wins on the right?
Yeah, so I want people to think about this, because in general, I'm with we have to slash and burn a lot, and if we take our eyes off that prize, we won't get rid of the Department of Education. We won't get rid of things that shouldn't exist. But in the midst of all this, we need to remember there's a reason the left did what they did, and their argument in the beginning was that these were things that were actually good for America, right? And when you think about things, especially locally and at the state level, like civic education, like civic monuments, right? Like funding good art in communities. There's no reason why local communities can't do that. Local governments can't do that. State governments can't do that. And in fact, at the national level, you'd want to give out awards at least and recognize people who are actually talented. So in other words, don't let the fact that the left has used this money to, they wasted a ton of money, first off, but don't let the fact that they used it for ridiculous trans operas in Colombia take your eyes off the fact that we need to award artists here who are actually making beautiful things, and they exist. We need a cultural renaissance in this country where we actually are focused on the true, good, and beautiful. And there is a role much, much smaller than the role that the left has hijacked the government for. But there is a role for civic institutions to play in supporting things that are actually true, good, and beautiful, especially at the state and local level. And especially at the federal level in awarding and giving honors. One of the jobs of government, the true jobs of government, is to give awards and honors. And this is more important than you realize because it sets status and prestige and what people who are talented want to strive for. And what they have done is they've ruined that status. They've given the awards to ridiculous, silly people, to people who aren't talented, to people who create ugly stuff. And we need to wrest that power back, the power to set the agenda and to set the framework of the kind of culture we want and the kind of way of life we want in America in the 21st century.
Step one, stopping giving money to people that hate you.
Yes.
Stop giving money to government programs
absolutely,
that people that
absolutely
they hate you.
Step one, turn off the spigot, right?
Step two,
yeah.
then you can
Step
go
two
through.
is to rethink what the structure of these programs should look like, if they should exist at all, and if they should exist, what should they be doing? The reason the left did what they did is because it works, right? I mean, it worked. They took over everything. And so we don't want to do it quite in the same way, but we need to rethink what all these agencies and departments should be doing. And when we find a good use for them, we need to use those departments and agencies and their powers for unabashedly for good.
Well, I want to go back in the few minutes that we have left here in the show, just to Kash Patel and the fact that the Democrats are trying to go through, and they've successfully put it back by a week, right? Okay, now they're buying time because they know Kash is going to be so effective at this. And can you imagine with what's happening right now, this week at the federal level in government, and you put Kash Patel at the FBI director, and you bring all of these forces together, can you imagine what that first, second, third week will look like?
No, look, this is reprehensible what they're doing, because what they're doing is just shamelessly in public buying time to hope for a Hail Mary pass, to find something that sticks, to find something. And like I said, they're going to, at the beginning, they're going to just throw stuff at them. And so this is what you do when you know you're losing, right? And you don't think you can win in the situation. You just try to buy time, you try to push off, and maybe there's a chance, maybe there's a chance. Now, I don't think there is a chance. I think that there's a lot of momentum, but it shows how afraid they are. And exactly what you said, imagine just in the few weeks, right? You're right. If he'd been in charge, they're already moving, right? They're ready to go. And I really think it's a dying gasp, but you never know. It's dangerous. And it's pathetic because it's so shamelessly political.
And if we can spend $45 million on a DEI program for Burma, Kash Patel is an Indian man who is now here in the United States. You would think this is exactly what they want. They don't even have to spend any money to do this.
No, diversity.
Right there.
Diversity only matters if you agree with the Borg. That's how it works. They don't give a damn at all about his diversity, and they fear him, and they're fearful now. They're in disarray, and this is like kind of a rear guard as they're running backwards. This is a rear guard motion to try to slow things up, but hopefully it won't work.
No diversity of thought, not on the leftists, but you know what? It's okay. We'll get through it somehow, some way.